The NASCAR Cup Series heads the Circuit Americas as we see a team pick up their first victory as an organization, and we see another driver pick up their first career NASCAR Cup Series victory. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. I just got done watching NASCAR Cup Series race from Circuit Americas, the Echo Park, Texas Grand Prix from Circuit of the Americas. Let's go ahead and just talk about the race. We've got a lot to talk about from it today. So, before the green flag dropped into this race, a ton of drivers have to go to the rear of the field. This included Joey Hand, AJ Allmendinger, Maurice Haismith, Michael McDowell, Eric Jones, Boris Said, Josh Blicky, and Andy Lally would all have to start at the rear of the field due to unapproved adjustments and also basically failing inspection as well. We go off and start the race with Ryan Blaney, who won the pole for race on the inside, and Daniel Suarez on the outside. Ryan Blaney would get the lead for a lap, and then Daniel Suarez able to get around and take the race lead and would dominate the next portion of this race. We then start seeing a couple guys get penalized. Maurice Haismith got penalized for cutting the course in turn number 6. And then the next lap, Boris Said it was also in the back. He would get penalized for cutting the course as well. And then we started seeing the leaders close in on each other like Ryan Blaney and Daniel Suarez. Daniel Suarez basically dominated this early portion of the run. But Ryan Blaney was really keeping tabs on Daniel Suarez. Then we would see the first major contact of the race happen between Kyle Busch and Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott had not really qualified very, very well considering it was a road course, and he got in the back of Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch basically got a little bit loose as well, but Chase Elliott got into the back of him, but the race would stay green. And then after that, we see a bunch of guys a couple laps later decide to come down road trying to strategize. This included Kevin Harvick, Corey LaJoie, Eric Almirola, Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace. Among those guys coming to pit road, we see a couple guys get penalties, including Austin Dillon for an uncontrolled tire. And we also saw Todd Gillen get penalties for equipment interference. And then some of the leaders came down pit road late, including Ross Chastain, Austin, and Cole Custer come down pit road as well. Then we basically kept going for a little bit, and then coming to the end of stage number 1, Daniel Suarez wins stage number 1 here at Circuit of the Americas. All the cars that did not come down the road during the first stage of the race, they would come down the road, meaning that we saw basically them go to the back, which meant that Austin Cindric, who was the first car up in the guys that basically had pitted, he basically would lead from the inside on the race, or Tyler Reddick second on the outside. In that restart, we see Daniel Suarez get some contact from Corey LaJoie, and he unfortunately would get a left front tire. Really unfortunate considering Daniel Suarez really had the best car early in this racetrack. It was really, really fast today. And then later in turn number 8, Kyle Larson, who's running 24th at the time, he would get spun and get some contact. Luckily for Larson, he didn't get a tire going down, but unfortunately Daniel Suarez, he had a flat tire, but was able to continue going on. And then we saw a couple drivers get penalties for cutting their course. This included Michael McDowell, Cody Ware, and Maurice Haismith. They would all get some damage from that and would have to come down pit road because of they cut the course. Then we see a lot of leaders basically coming down pit road, and near the end of stage number 2, this included Christopher Martrick Jr., Eric Jones, Kevin Harvick, and Chase Elliott, and also Kyle Larson as well. And then we also saw Corey LaJoie getting speeding penalty as well. Then the next lap, a couple more guys would come down pit road. This included Ross Chastain, Austin Cindric, and AJ Allmendinger. They would come down pit road, and a couple people would get speeding penalties, including William Byron. Denny Hamlin, who really needed the stage wins, he decided to stay out, and he would win stage number 2 here at Circuit of the Americas. And then all the guys who did not pit under the second stage, they would come down pit road to take their fuel stops. Me and a couple guys who get penalties, we would basically see Ty Dillon get a penalty for improper fueling. Because of this, a couple guys also stayed out. This included Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney, and Joey Logano got the race lead. But then Ross Chastain took the lead from Ryan Blaney after basically losing a ton of spots, and Ross Chastain was able to take the race lead. And then we saw Joey Hand spin awesome contact from Eric Almirola, and then a few corners later, we saw Austin Cindric get loose off of turn number 10, and spin from third position. Christopher nearly got caught up into that. And because of that, the caution would come out for debris after Austin put a ton of rocks on the racing line, bringing out the caution in this race. And we saw some guys come down the road while the leaders decided to stay out. And then on the restart on lap 37, Ross Chastain lead from the inside with AJ Allmendinger on the outside. Then we saw some drivers start basically radioing that they were having some steering issues, including Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin would continue racing on, but Christopher Bell, he would basically, unfortunately, have to come down the road and would have to basically have the hood up underworking after having the steering issues. He would come down pit road. And then a few laps later, Eric Jones, unfortunately, would stop off at turn number 11 without power, bringing out the caution in this race. Then we go back racing on lap 42, with lap 44, with Ross Chastain leading from the inside, and Chase Briscoe on the outside. And Chase Briscoe got basically caught Ross Chastain and basically tried to get the lead and actually took the race lead. And then we basically saw Joey Logano spin into turn number 11. Ross Chastain, he gets back up to the point and gets the lead from Chase Briscoe. And then Bubba Wallace stopped in turn 17 after having a loose wheel. Basically, the tire came off. That's going to most likely be a 4-race suspension for Booney Barker and a couple pit crew members. Tough break for Bubba Wallace. He was having a good run. These teams have got to get these tires tightened on their cars because it's unacceptable. They cannot get the loose wheels tight on these cars. Because of that, the caution would come out and they would have to push him back to pit road. A couple of guys would come down pit road. This included Daniel Suarez, Joey Logano, and Joey Hand, while the rest leaders decided to stay out. And then on restart, you have Chase Briscoe leading from the inside and Ross Chastain on the outside. And Ross Chastain gets a really, really strong restart on lap 47 and took the race lead from Chase Briscoe going into the corner down the long straightaway. Then we saw basically some spins happening. Ty Dillon basically got spun into turn number 11, and Borsett also got penalized for cutting the corner as well. And an AJ Allmendinger, who is starting to really charge up here late, he gets around Chase Briscoe for second. Ross Chastain still leading the race. And then Ricky Stenhouse Jr. basically starts slowing on the track with electrical problems. And then we see a couple guys decide to come down the road before the caution comes out, and including Kevin Harvick, Eric Almirola, Cole Custer, Mark Truex Jr. all come down the road, basically anticipating a yellow. And then a lap later, they throw the caution. Tony Stewart was right on the money with this one. I do not understand why they threw the yellow, decided to wait that long to throw a caution. You got a car that's clearly stopped on the racetrack. You sure to throw in the caution way sooner than you did. But regardless, we saw basically then some guys also later come down the road, including Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin. And then we go back racing with technically around, I think, 10 laps to go in this race, of Ross Chastain leading from the inside with AJ on the outside. And we would see Chase Briscoe go off the course after contact with Allmendinger. It looks like Briscoe was going to get a speeding penalty, penalized for cutting the course, but NASCAR decided to withdraw the penalty after we saw the replay where AJ unfortunately forced him off the track. Meanwhile, we would see Austin Cindric and Kaz Grala basically spin in the same lap. Unfortunately for Cindric, he had a fast car. They both unfortunately ended up spinning out, and we still keep going, but then a lap later, we would see NASCAR throw the caution once again for Corey LaJoie, who put oil down on the backstretch. And then a couple guys would come down the road, including Chase Briscoe, who basically had flat spotted the tires. It's a shame because Chase Briscoe could have contended for this victory, but Chase Briscoe would have to come down pit road. And on the restart with around 8 laps to go, technically, you have Ross Chastain leading from the inside with AJ Allmendinger on the outside. Then on the restart, we see Cole Custer spin in turn number 2 after restarting 7th. And then at turn number 11 to 15, Denny Hamlin spin in turn 11. And then Eric Almirola will spin into turn number 15. We keep the race going, and there's a really good battle that's really being set up between AJ Allmendinger and Ross Chastain. AJ was really starting to catch Ross Chastain late in this race, but Ross started pulling away off late corners. And then the caution would come out with around 6 laps to go for Larice Hazens, who stopped in turn number 3 with major electrical problems. Tough break for that 2017. Then we go back racing with 4 laps to go, with Ross Chastain leading from the inside and AJ Allmendinger on the outside. We would see Tyler Reddick get a strong run going in turn number 2. They both overdrive the corner going into turn number 2, and we saw Tyler Reddick send it to the inside, and he actually gets the race lead. Then, meanwhile, behind him going into turn number 2, we saw Joey Logano, Kyle Larson, and Kurt Busch go all off course, all off the track, bringing out the caution in this race due to the debris. And then we get to the final restart of this race after, I don't know what Kyle Larson was doing. He was trying to full send it. Kurt Busch really had nowhere to go, and now he basically overdrove it, and Joey Logano also overdrove it, and that brought out the final caution of this race. Then we get to the final restart of this race in overtime of Ross Chastain leading from the inside and Tyler Reddick leading from the inside and Ross Chastain on the outside. And Ross Chastain gets a very, very strong restart, passes Tyler Reddick in turn number 4 and takes the race lead. And it looks like it's going to be Ross Chastain who's going to easily win the race, but as they're coming to the white flag, Ross Chastain has about a second lead. But AJ Allmendinger decides to start really closing in here on the last lap of the race. He picks up 2 to 3 tenths in each corner, and they're on the back bumper going into turn number 14 and 15. We see AJ give the bump in turn number 14 and sends Ross Chastain up the racetrack. Then Ross Chastain comes back and he's behind him. You've got Alex Bowman, who's third, sitting on the inside of these guys. And then coming into turn number 17, it looks like AJ Allmendinger is going to easily win the race. And then see Ross Chastain get into the back of AJ Allmendinger and pushes him and forces it into Alex Bowman. They both crash into the corner, and Ross Chastain is able to take the lead. And coming off the corner, Ross Chastain comes off the corner, and finally, after the last couple weeks of really strong runs, he picks up his first career victory and gets Trackhouse Racing's their first career victory as well. By the way, also on the last lap, Kyle Busch got spun from 7th. Unclear who took him out, but Kyle Busch ended up basically spinning from 7th position. Like I said, Ross Chastain picked up his first career victory. About dang time. Ross Chastain clearly had the best car today, in my opinion. Led the most laps in today's race. Trackhouse really dominated if you count Daniel Suarez as well. But Trackhouse Racing, man, finally picks up their first career victory as an organization. Well-deserved win, in my opinion. They had the best car all day long. And like I said, Ross Chastain, up to this point, has finished third, second, and second. And I think Ross Chastain, you can really look at him as an underdog to win this championship right now. I would not throw out this possibility. He's been on a great streak of finishes, has finished no worse than third in the last 4 races, and I think that Ross Chastain is really proving himself. I've been watching Ross Chastain for so many years and how good this guy really, really is. And he gets a great opportunity here, and he finally gets it done. I'm so pumped up as a fan of Ross Chastain, and I'm also really pumped up for Pitbull, because Pitbull also won this race as a co-owner now, and Justin Marks is one of the hardest working guys in the garage. Big victory for the team. Well played. I know that Ross Chastain kind of stole the win, was a little dirty, but Ross Chastain clearly deserves the victory. About damn time, finally, this guy's worked his ass off over the years, and now he's a Cup Series winner. Huge congratulations to Ross Chastain. Let's go through the results of today's race and give you my score of today's race. Ross Chastain finishes first and wins. Alex Bowman finishes second. Alex Bowman had a best Hendrick car most of the day, which was really a surprise considering I did not expect Alex Bowman to be really good today, but that experience from the NASCAR Truck Series race really came into play and helped him, and gets a great finish in second. Strong run from Alex Bowman. Cristobal finishes third. Cristobal really had a bad day going, but he basically took fresh tires late in that race, and it really benefited him. He gets third. Good. He needed this run. A great run for Christopher Bell. Chase Elliott finishes fourth. Chase Elliott, I thought was going to be a little better today, but it's still a solid top 5. That car never was really dialed in, but it did get better as the race progressed. Good to see Chase Elliott get a top 5. This is also his first top 5 of the season. He should still be the points leader currently after this race, so good to see that from Chase Elliott. Tyler Reddick finishes 5th. Again, Tyler Reddick is really, really close to winning these races. He was in the top 5 most of the race. Good to see Tyler Reddick in their top 5 finish, and I think he's also underdog to win this championship. Ryan Blaney finished 6th. Very solid top 10 run for Ryan Blaney. Ran most of the day around the top 10, so good day for Ryan Blaney. Martin Truex Jr. finished the 7th. Has some fresh tires help him out, and Martin Truex Jr. I thought was going to be a little more of a threat, but a top 10 regardless of Martin Truex Jr. is a good run from Joe Gibbs Racing. Austin Cindric finished as 8th. Good bounce back from Austin Cindric. Austin Cindric probably had a top 2 or 3 car most of the day, but unfortunately got spun multiple times. Also spun himself out. Good to see, though, he bounced back to top 10. I think he's going to win a road course race at some point this year, but he gets an 8th place finish. Solid top 10 run. Eric Jones finishes 9th. The fact that Eric Jones stalled on the track and still gets top 10, great run at the end of the day. He's had not some good runs the last couple weeks, so he really needed that run and gets top 10 finish. Austin Dillon finished 10th. What a way to bounce back this week after really not a good run last week. Gets a really solid top 10 finish. Kevin Harvick finishes on 11th. Not a bad run for Kevin Harvick today. William Byron finishes in 12th. I expected Byron to be a little bit better, but still 12th place finish after winning last week. Got to work on that consistency a little bit. Man, I think Byron's going to win more races this year. Michael McDowell finishes in 13th. Brad Keselowski finishes 14th. Considering the fact that Brad Keselowski has not had a good week and the race wasn't going well for him, he finally gets a top 15 finish. He really needs those points because he's going to lose a ton of points here. He's still got a lot of ground to make up in the championship now. I know that they're going to appeal the penalty, which we're going to talk about later this week. But it's all top 15 run for Brad Keselowski. Justin Haley finishes in 15th, solid run for him. Todd Gillen gets 16th. How about that? Near the end of the race, I saw him in the top 20. So to get a top 20 for Todd Gillen is really good to see. Harrison Burr finishes in 17th. Denny Hamlin gets 18th place. Still not been a good year for Denny Hamlin, but he bounced back a little bit. Denny Hamlin's still, though, looking for his first top 10 of the season, but this should help him at least a little bit in the points, but he's got a lot of ground to make up. I'm worried about Denny Hamlin making the playoffs right now. I expect him to kind of not have a good run, and he really didn't have an amazing run, but he got some good stage points that really are going to help him out. Eric Almirola finishes 19th after getting spun out early. Ty Dillon finishes 20th. Chris Buescher finishes in 21st. Josh Blicky finishes 22nd. See some run for Josh Blicky today. Cole Custer finishes 23rd. Ran a last race in the top 10. I don't know what happened to Cole Custer at the end of the race. Daniel Suarez finishes 24th. What could have been for Daniel Suarez, man? Daniel Suarez ultimately had one of the best cars in this race. Was fast early from the get-go. They basically had the tire go down, and then they started having power steering problems. Did get at least a top 25, but man, should have finished higher than he did. Kaz Grala and the money team get a top 25. How about that for Kaz Grala? I thought Kaz Grala might get a top 30 this weekend. Good top 25 in the day. He was also the highest finishing open car of the weekend, so that's really cool to see. Boris Said got 26. How about that for Boris Said? First time back in the Cup Series. Hopefully we get to see Boris Said in more races this year. He gets a 26th place finish. Solid day for Boris Said. Cody Ware finishes in 27th. Kyle Busch, after getting spun out late, finishes 20th. It's unclear who spun him out, but Kyle Busch, bad year continues for him. Kyle Larson finishes in 29th. Man, Kyle Larson has not had a good year this year. I know it's early. I know he's had a lot of good races going, but man, 3 straight races outside the top 20. Yikes for Kyle Larson. He's got a lot of work to do to get the season turned around. I think he'll get a turnaround for sure, but man, it's Kyle Larson and it's unfortunate, but we're in the playoffs now, so I'm really not frustrated by that, but still, I want to see Larson do a little bit better. But he got a 29th place finish, bounce back a little, recover from that. I think he had a top 5 car. I don't think he had a winning car, but I think he had a top 5 car. But they kept making mistake after mistake, and it basically got unfortunately affected by it. Chase Briscoe, after his issues late, he finished his 30th. What could have been for Chase Briscoe? He had a great car today. Should have finished higher than he did, but he still finishes in 30th. Joey Logano finishes in 31st after his issues. Kurt Busch finishes 32nd after his issues. He had a best average finish coming in the weekend. AJ Allmendinger, after his crash, finishes 33rd. Should have finished up front. Should have contended for the win, but he did contend for the victory, but got taken out late. Unfortunate for AJ. AJ's probably not happy with Ross. We'll probably see that later. We'll probably talk about that later this week. But AJ finishes 33rd. Unfortunately, he had a top 2 or even a winning car today, but gets 33rd, unfortunately, in that circumstances. Reese Hazen finishes in 34th. Joey Han, after basically crashing out or having electrical problems, suspension issues, a shame for him because he had a top 20 car today and was doing really, really good. It's a shame for him. It was good to see him racing. He's going to run a lot more road course races, but I think he'll finish better as the season progresses. Corey LaJoie finishes in 36th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finishes in 37th. Bubba Wallace, after his issues, finishes 38th. Bad break for Bubba Wallace, probably losing his crew chief, unfortunately. It's a shame for Bubba because he actually had a really good run going on a road course. He was running top 10, well, not top 10, running top 20 most of the race, especially early. That's a shame for Bubba. I think he'll get the season turned around, but man, not a good year for Bubba. And Andy Lally, who basically had suspension issues, he finishes in last in 39th place. So now let's talk about the race overall and give you my score of today's race. I actually really enjoyed this race today. This race was really, really fun to watch. I was really worried that this race wasn't going to be good because some of the races earlier this weekend weren't absolutely amazing, including the Truck Series race. But I have to say that there was a lot of great racing in this event. We knew the next-gen cars were probably going to be able to race a lot better on the road courses, and I think that data, when it comes to road course racing with the next-gen car, it really stood the test of time today. And we saw, in my opinion, a really, really good race today at Circuit of the Americas. And I think that this track absolutely deserves to be kept on the schedule. It's likely coming back next year. We've got reports indicating that it's most likely coming back next year. It absolutely deserves to be back on the schedule. What a great race today. It's good to see the new team pick up the victory. I am giving today's COTA race a 9 out of 10. The race at points dragged on a little bit. I think the race may have been a little bit too long for me, but it was not a bad race overall. You had a lot of intensity, a lot of action, a lot of great battles to the field, and in my opinion, a really strong race. A 9 out of 10 is my score. We've had one race that's been under 9 out of 10 this year. That shows how good this year has generally been, so great race in my opinion. Huge congratulations also to Ross Chastain on picking up his first victory. So anyway, that's today's long race review from Circuit of the Americas. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications to be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on page as well. List description below over that, and comment with your thoughts on today's race. What are your thoughts on today's race of Circuit Americas? Let me know below. Let me know your score in the comments below. And congratulate Ross Chastain and Trackhouse Racing on picking up their first career victories. Let me know in the comments below. Tomorrow on my channel, I'm most likely going to have an update video on the future of the channel out for you guys. And then on Tuesday and the rest of the week, I've got some other products that are going to be on the way here really, really soon for the channel. And I cannot wait to share them for you guys. So anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. And I'll see you guys next time for some more great, awesome NASCAR and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.